My name is Eric, and this is the story of how one lost phone changed my life forever. I live in Dallas, Texas, working as a mechanic at an auto repair shop. I've been married to Nicole for 8 years. I thought our marriage was solid, though something had changed in her behavior lately. It all started on a Friday evening. After a hard day's work, I decided to stop at a local bar with my colleagues. I drank more than usual, and on my way home I somehow lost my phone. I looked everywhere, in the car, near the bar, even went back, but it was useless. Nicole was already asleep when I came home. In the morning I told her about the loss. She raised her eyebrows in surprise. "Are you sure you didn't leave it at the bar?" "Checked 3 times. Probably fell out of my pocket somewhere." She nodded and said she'd help me find it. But the real shock was waiting for me later. On Saturday, Nicole went to yoga while I was fixing a kitchen faucet. Around noon, she returned with a strange expression on her face. She was holding my phone in her hands. "Where did you find it?" I was delighted. "In the park where I jog in the mornings." It was lying under a bench. I reached for the phone, but she wasn't in a hurry to give it back. "Eric, we need to talk," she said quietly. "About what?" "About the messages on your phone." My heart stopped. I didn't understand what she was talking about. I had no secrets from her. But the real secret was revealed later. Nicole showed me a group chat in a messenger called Saturday Boys. Participants: me, my childhood friend Jake, my work colleague Robert, and 2 other guys I sometimes play poker with. It seemed like an ordinary men's chat. But the messages I saw made me doubt my own sanity. Jake wrote, "Eric, your thing with Nicole yesterday was just incredible." Robert replied, "Yeah man, you really know how to handle women." The third participant added, "Details? Tell us more." Then came messages supposedly from me, where I described intimate moments with Nicole in detail, using vulgar language and humiliating her. Worst of all, I was apparently telling them how I was cheating on her with my colleague Amanda from the auto shop. "I didn't write this," I screamed. "Nicole, this isn't me. Someone hacked my account." She looked at me with pain in her eyes. "Eric, this is your phone number, your account. The messages were sent from your device." I checked. Indeed, all messages showed as sent from my phone. But I couldn't remember writing anything like that. Maybe I was so drunk I don't remember? But the real truth turned out to be much worse. The next few days were hell. Nicole barely spoke to me. I tried to convince her that I didn't remember those messages, that maybe I was too drunk. She just shook her head. "Eric, even if you don't remember, that doesn't excuse what you wrote about me." "And about Amanda?" "Amanda?" "I barely talked to her, only about work. She worked in the accounting department of our shop. Nice girl, but I never looked at her as a woman." On Monday, Amanda approached me at work. "Eric, can we talk privately?" We stepped aside to a corner. "Listen, I don't know what's going on, but your wife called me last night," she said awkwardly. "She was screaming that I'm ruining your family." "What?" I couldn't believe it. "She said you tell your friends about our affair." "Eric, we don't have any affair. We barely know each other." My world completely turned upside down. Nicole not only believed those messages but also confronted Amanda. But the biggest shock was still ahead. That evening I tried to talk to Nicole again. She was sitting on the couch with her laptop. "We can work this out," I said. "I don't know what happened with those messages, but you know me." She looked at me and I saw something strange in her eyes. Not pain, not anger. Something else. "Eric, there's one more thing," she said quietly. My heart stopped again. What else could there be? "When I found your phone, I checked all the messages. Not just in the group with the guys." She showed me my own phone. A conversation with an unknown number. Someone wrote to me, "Eric, thank you for last night. Can't wait for our next meeting. Your secret lover." And I supposedly replied, "Me too, darling. Just make sure Nicole doesn't find out." "Who is she?" Nicole asked in a cold voice. I looked at the conversation like it was a hallucination. The number was unknown to me, I hadn't sent the messages, but everything looked absolutely real. "Nicole, I swear to you, I don't know who this is. I never cheated on you." But the real truth was even more terrifying than my worst fears. Nicole stood up and walked to the window. "Eric, I want a divorce," she said without turning around. "You can't just do that." I begged. "Give me time to figure this out. Someone is obviously trying to break us up." She turned around and there was a strange smile on her face. "You know, Eric, you're right. Someone is really trying to break us up." I felt relief. Finally she believed me. "Oh, who's doing this?" Nicole came closer and sat across from me. "Me," she said calmly. The world stopped. I didn't understand what she meant. I wrote all those messages from your phone, Eric. I created the fake number and texted myself. I orchestrated this entire situation. I felt the ground disappear from under my feet. What are you saying? I've been seeing your brother Connor for 6 months. Yes, the same Connor who was always your best friend. We decided we want to be together, but I needed a good reason for divorce. Connor. My younger brother whom I always supported. Who often came to visit us, slept on our couch when he had problems. When you lost your phone, it was the perfect opportunity, Nicole continued. I really found it in the park but not under a bench. Connor gave it to me there when we met in the morning. We spent the whole day together planning this scheme. She spoke so calmly as if talking about the weather. Only one thing surprises me, Eric. How could you not notice that I've been cheating on you for months? Connor came to our place even when you weren't home. We weren't really hiding. I remembered all those times when I came home and found Connor in the kitchen with Nicole. They said he just stopped by to talk. All those evenings when Nicole was out with girlfriends, and Connor didn't answer his calls. Why? That's all I could say. Because Connor is younger, more interesting. Because he has ambitions, not just fixing cars his whole life. Because I just got tired of you, Eric. But that wasn't the end of my nightmare. The real horror was just beginning. The next morning, Nicole was packing her things. But she moved slowly, methodically, like someone who had all the time in the world. I sat at the kitchen table, still in shock from the previous night's revelation. How long? I finally asked. How long what? How long have you been planning this? Nicole stopped folding her clothes and looked at me with what I can only describe as pity. Eric, you're asking the wrong questions. You should ask how many people knew about it. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? Your friends from the chat, Jake, Robert, and the others. They've known for months. Jake particularly enjoyed it. He always said you were too naive, too trusting. He was the one who suggested using the group chat as evidence. I felt like the world was collapsing around me. My own friends had been in on it? And Amanda? Oh, Amanda doesn't know anything. She's genuinely confused. But that makes it even better, doesn't it? An innocent person caught in the crossfire. Nicole zipped up her suitcase and sat down across from me. You want to know the funny part, Eric? Connor and I didn't plan for you to lose your phone. We were going to find another way. But when you came home drunk and couldn't find it, it was like a gift from heaven. Where is it now? Where's Connor? He's waiting for me. We're moving to Austin together. He got a job offer there, a real job, not like this dead-end place you're stuck in. I felt a surge of anger. I helped him get through college. I lent him money when he needed it. I gave him a place to stay when he had nowhere to go. And he's grateful for that, Nicole said with mock sincerity. That's why he felt bad about taking your wife. But not bad enough to stop. She stood up and looked around the house, our house filled with 8 years of memories. You know what the worst part is for me, Eric? I actually did love you once. Maybe that makes me a monster, but at least I'm an honest monster. Connor arrived exactly at noon. I heard his car in the driveway, the same red Toyota I had helped him buy 2 years ago when he got his first real job. The irony wasn't lost on me. I watched from the kitchen window as he got out of the car. He looked up at the house and for a moment, I thought I saw hesitation in his eyes. But then Nicole appeared at the front door with her suitcases and his face changed. He smiled, the same smile I remembered from when we were kids and he'd successfully pulled off some prank. They loaded her things into the car in silence. I stood at the window, paralyzed, watching my life being dismantled piece by piece. Finally, Connor looked toward the house. Our eyes met through the window. He raised his hand in what might have been a wave or might have been an apology. I'll never know which. Nicole got into the passenger seat and before Connor could start the engine, she rolled down the window. Oh, Eric, she called out sweetly. There's something else you should know. I opened the front door despite every instinct telling me not to. The night you lost your phone? You weren't as drunk as you thought. Connor was at the bar too. He followed you home to make sure you got there safely, such a caring brother. That's when he found your phone in the parking lot where you dropped it. The pieces clicked into place. Connor had found my phone, taken it to Nicole, and they'd spent the entire weekend crafting their elaborate deception. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I want you to understand how thoroughly you've been played, Eric. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. This was planned, calculated, and executed by people who know you better than you know yourself. Connor started the engine. The sound seemed unnaturally loud in the quiet suburban street. And Eric? Nicole added, her voice carrying clearly across the yard. When you start dating again, if you ever do, Maybe don't trust so easily next time. They drove away and I stood in my doorway watching until the red Toyota disappeared around the corner. Then I went back inside, closed the door, and sat in the silence of what used to be our home. The aftermath was perhaps worse than the betrayal itself. Word spread quickly through our small community. The auto shop where I worked became a place of whispered conversations and pitying glances. My coworkers didn't know what to say to me, so most of them said nothing at all. Jake, Robert, and the others from our group chat acted like nothing had happened. They still invited me out for drinks, still made small talk about work and sports. But something fundamental had changed. I could see it in their eyes, a mixture of guilt and amusement, as if they were constantly reliving a private joke that I wasn't in on. I confronted Jake one evening after work. "How long did you know?" I asked him directly. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Eric, man, it's complicated." "No, it's not complicated. You either knew my wife was cheating on me with my brother or you didn't." Jake sighed and looked around the empty parking lot. "About 4 months. Nicole asked me not to say anything. She said she was trying to figure out how to tell you. And you believed that?" I wanted to believe it. "Look, Eric, I didn't want to be the one to break up your marriage. Instead, you helped her frame me as a cheater. We didn't know she was going to do that. When she asked us to play along with the group chat thing, she said it was just to make you think about how you talk about women. Like a wake-up call." I stared at him in disbelief. "And you bought that?" "Look, man, Nicole can be very convincing. And honestly, some of the things you said about her when you were drunk, they weren't great." "What things?" "I never said anything bad about Nicole." Jake shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe you don't remember. But there were times when you'd complain about her, say she was getting boring, that you missed being single." I felt like I was losing my mind. Had I said those things? I genuinely couldn't remember, but then again there were many nights when I'd had too much to drink and the details were fuzzy. "Even if I did say those things," I said slowly, "that doesn't justify what you all did." "You're right," Jake admitted. "It doesn't. I'm sorry, Eric. I really am. But sorry wasn't enough to undo the damage. Sorry couldn't give me back my wife, my brother, or my trust in the people closest to me." Amanda from the accounting department quit 2 weeks after the incident. She couldn't handle the gossip and the sideways looks from people who thought she'd been involved in breaking up my marriage. Her last day she stopped by my workstation. "I'm sorry this happened to you," she said simply. "I know we don't know each other well, but you seem like a good person who didn't deserve this." "Where will you go?" I asked. "My sister lives in Phoenix. I'll stay with her while I figure things out." After she left, I realized that Nicole's scheme had claimed another victim. Amanda had lost her job, her home, and her reputation in our small town because of lies she knew nothing about. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. Nicole's lawyer painted me as an unfaithful husband who had emotionally abused his wife and conducted multiple affairs. The fake messages from my phone were presented as evidence, along with testimony from Jake and the others about my inappropriate behavior and disrespectful attitude toward women. My lawyer, a tired-looking man named Frank Morrison, did his best with a hopeless case. "The evidence is all circumstantial," he told me during one of our meetings. "But in divorce court, perception often matters more than truth. So there's nothing we can do? We can fight it, but it's going to be expensive, and Nicole has already filed for divorce on grounds of adultery. Even if we prove the messages were fabricated, she has witnesses who'll testify about your character." In the end, I didn't have the heart or the money for a prolonged legal battle. Nicole got the house, half of our savings, and alimony for 2 years. I moved into a small apartment across town and tried to rebuild my life from scratch. Connor never contacted me directly, but I heard through mutual acquaintances that he and Nicole had moved to Austin as planned. He got a job at a tech company and they rented a downtown apartment. According to my cousin Sarah, who saw them at a restaurant one evening, they looked happy. That detail bothered me more than anything else. Not just that they were together, but that they were genuinely happy. Their betrayal had cost them nothing while destroying everything I'd built over 8 years of marriage. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Nicole's sister Kelly at the grocery store. We'd always gotten along well during my marriage, and seeing her brought back a flood of memories from family gatherings and holidays. "Eric," she said, looking genuinely surprised, "how are you holding up?" "I'm managing," I replied, which was mostly true. Kelly glanced around nervously, then moved closer. "Can I ask you something? And please be honest with me." "Sure." "Did you really cheat on Nicole?" The question caught me off guard. "No," I said firmly. "I never cheated on her. Not once." Kelly nodded slowly. I didn't think so. You never seemed like the type. Why do you ask? She hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. Because Nicole's story keeps changing. First, she said you were having multiple affairs. Then it was just one affair. Now she's telling people that you never actually cheated, but you were emotionally unavailable and made her feel unloved. I felt a cold anger rising in my chest. She's rewriting history. That's what I'm afraid of. And Eric, there's something else. Nicole called me last week crying. She said she made a huge mistake and wants to come back to you. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. What? She and Connor are having problems. Apparently, living together is different from sneaking around. She says he's immature and doesn't want the same things she wants. I stood there in the cereal aisle holding a box of cornflakes trying to process this information. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her she made her bed and now she has to lie in it. But Eric, I'm worried she's going to try to contact you directly. Kelly was right. 3 days later, Nicole called me. I almost didn't answer. Her number had been blocked on my phone for months, but she was calling from a different number. When I heard her voice, my first instinct was to hang up. Please don't hang up, she said quickly. I know I don't have the right to ask, but I need to talk to you. There's nothing to talk about, Nicole. Yes, there is. I made a mistake, Eric. A terrible, horrible mistake. I could hear tears in her voice, but I'd learned not to trust anything about Nicole anymore. You didn't make a mistake, I said coldly. You made a choice. Multiple choices over the course of months. You're right. You're absolutely right. But Eric, what Connor and I had, it wasn't real. It was just the excitement of doing something forbidden. When we started living together as a normal couple, we realized we don't actually like each other that much. That's not my problem anymore. I know it's not. But I still love you, Eric. I always did. What I did to you was unforgivable, but it wasn't because I stopped loving you. The phone felt heavy in my hand. Then why did you do it? There was a long silence before she answered. Because I was bored, she said finally. Because our life felt predictable and safe and I wanted excitement. I wanted to feel desired by someone new. I don't know what I wanted. But I know what I lost. You lost it the moment you decided to betray me instead of talking to me. I know. And I have to live with that for the rest of my life. Another silence. Eric, is there any chance, any possibility that we could try again? I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy, counseling, anything. I closed my eyes and thought about the woman I'd married 8 years ago. The woman who used to laugh at my bad jokes and fall asleep on my shoulder during movies. The woman who cried when we couldn't afford to go on a honeymoon and said she didn't care as long as we were together. That woman was gone. Maybe she'd never really existed in the first place. No, I said simply. Eric, please. No, Nicole. There's no going back from what you did. You didn't just cheat on me. You orchestrated an elaborate scheme to destroy my reputation and frame me for things I didn't do. You turned my friends against me. You involved innocent people like Amanda. You broke my trust in the most calculated, cruel way possible. I know, but I'm not finished. You want to know what the worst part is? It's not that you cheated. It's not even that you cheated with my brother. It's that you're calling me now because your plan B didn't work out. You're not sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you can't have what you want. Nicole was crying openly now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no desire to comfort her, no urge to take back my harsh words. Eric, please. I know I don't deserve it, but could we at least try to be friends? I miss talking to you. I miss us. There is no us anymore, Nicole. There never really was, apparently. That's not true. What we had was real. The love was real. Was it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you were planning your exit strategy for months while telling me you loved me every night. I could hear her breathing heavily through the phone. What about Connor? I asked. Does he know you're calling me? We broke up 2 weeks ago. He's not the person I thought he was. What did you expect? He betrayed his own brother. Did you think he'd be loyal to you? I thought. She started, then stopped. I don't know what I thought. Nicole, I need you to listen to me very carefully. This conversation is over. Don't call me again, don't contact me through other people, and don't show up at my apartment or my work. We're done. Forever. Eric. I hung up and immediately blocked the new number. But she was persistent. Over the next month, she found ways to reach out. She created fake social media accounts to send me messages. She had mutual friends casually bring her up in conversation, always mentioning how sorry she was and how much she regretted her choices. The final straw came when she showed up at my apartment building on a rainy Thursday evening. I was coming home from work, tired and looking forward to a quiet night, when I saw her sitting on the steps leading to the main entrance. She looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, and she had dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, I felt a flicker of the old concern I used to have for her when she was upset. "Nicole, what are you doing here?" She stood up quickly. "I've been waiting for 2 hours. I needed to see you. I told you not to contact me." "I know, but I couldn't. Eric, I'm falling apart. I lost my job, I can't afford rent, and I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem anymore. Connor kicked me out," she continued as if I hadn't spoken. "He said I was too needy, too emotional. He said he never loved me, that it was just about the thrill of taking something from you." Despite everything, that revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. My own brother had admitted that his relationship with my wife was just a way to hurt me. "He used me," Nicole said, tears streaming down her face. "Just like I used you. And now I have nothing." "You made your choices, Nicole." I know I did. But Eric, I'm scared. I don't know how to be alone. I've been with you since I was 22, and before that I lived with my parents. I've never been on my own." For a moment I wavered. This was the woman I had promised to love and protect for better or worse. Seeing her like this brought back memories of our early years together, when she was vulnerable and sweet and looked at me like I was her hero. But then I remembered the group chat. The fake messages. The calculated cruelty of her deception. The way she had smiled when she drove away with Connor. "You should have thought about that before you destroyed our marriage." "Please, Eric. I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm just asking for help. Just until I get back on my feet." "No. I'll sleep on the couch. I won't bother you. I'll look for work every day until I find something." "No, Nicole." "Then can you at least lend me some money? Just enough for a hotel room for a few nights." I looked at her standing there in the rain, desperate and broken, and I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pity. Just emptiness. "I can't do that," I said finally. "Can't or won't?" "Both." She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the exact moment when she realized that I was never going to help her. That the man who had once loved her unconditionally was truly gone. "I never thought you could be this cold," she said quietly. "I learned from the best." She nodded slowly, then turned and walked away into the rain. I watched her until she disappeared around the corner, then went upstairs to my apartment and locked the door behind me. I never saw Nicole again after that night, though I heard through mutual friends that she eventually moved back in with her parents in another state. As for Connor, he stayed in Austin for a few more months before moving to California for a new job. He never tried to contact me directly, but our mother occasionally mentioned him during our phone calls, always in a careful, neutral tone that let me know she was aware of what had happened between us. 2 years later, I was finally ready to start dating again. I met a woman named Lisa at a coffee shop near my apartment. She was a teacher, divorced with a 10-year-old daughter. We took things slowly, both of us carrying baggage from our previous relationships. On our third date, I told her about Nicole and Connor and the phone scheme. I expected her to be shocked or to question my version of events, but she just listened quietly until I finished. "That's horrible," she said finally. "I'm sorry that happened to you. I should probably mention that I have serious trust issues now," I said, trying to keep my tone light. "I imagine you do. But Eric, can I tell you something? The fact that you told me about it instead of hiding it or pretending it never happened, that actually makes me trust you more. We've been together for 6 months now, and while I still have moments of doubt and paranoia, I'm slowly learning to trust again. Lisa is patient with my questions and my need for reassurance, and she's never made me feel guilty for being damaged by what Nicole did to me. Last week, my mother called to tell me that Connor was getting married to someone he met in California. She asked if I wanted his new address to send a card. "No, Mom," I said. "I don't." "Eric, he's still your brother." "No, he's not. Blood doesn't make someone family. Loyalty does. And Connor chose a long time ago that he wasn't loyal to me. But what if he wants to apologize? What if he's changed? Then he knows how to reach me." "But Mom, an apology won't change what he did. Some things can't be forgiven even if they can be explained." She sighed but didn't argue further. I think she understands even if she doesn't agree with my decision. As for the friends who helped Nicole with her scheme, I cut them out of my life completely. Jake tried to reconcile with me about a year after the divorce, claiming he'd been manipulated and was genuinely sorry for his role in what happened. But I couldn't get past the fact that when faced with a choice between protecting me and going along with Nicole's plan, he chose the latter. I've made new friends now, people from Lisa's social circle and a few guys from a bowling league I joined. They don't know about my past unless I choose to tell them, and there's something liberating about being around people who see me as I am now, not as the victim of an elaborate betrayal. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never lost my phone that night. Would Nicole have found another way to leave me for Connor? Would she have simply asked for a divorce without the elaborate deception? Or would she have stayed, growing more resentful and unhappy until our marriage crumbled anyway? I'll never know the answers to those questions, and I've learned to be okay with that uncertainty. What I do know is that losing Nicole, Connor, and those friends forced me to rebuild my life from the ground up, and in some ways the new version is better than the original. I'm more cautious now, yes, but also more self-reliant. I know I can survive betrayal and abandonment because I've done it. I know I can be alone without falling apart because I've proven it to myself. And most importantly, I know that trust, once lost, can be rebuilt, but only with people who deserve it. The last time I thought about Nicole was yesterday, when Lisa and I were making dinner together in my kitchen. She was telling me about something funny her daughter had said at school, and I realized I was genuinely happy in a way I hadn't been even in the best moments of my marriage to Nicole. That's when it hit me, Nicole had actually done me a favor. By showing me exactly who she was and what she was capable of, she freed me from a relationship that was built on lies and maintained through deception. She forced me to confront my own naivety and to develop better judgment about the people I allow into my inner circle. I wouldn't choose to go through that experience again, but I wouldn't undo it either. It made me who I am today, and for the first time in years I actually like who that is. As I write this, it's been 3 years since Nicole walked out of my life with Connor. 3 years since I discovered that the people closest to me were capable of betraying me in the most calculated, cruel way imaginable. And 3 years since I learned that I was stronger than I ever thought I could be. I'm not the same trusting, naive man who lost his phone in a bar parking lot. I'm more careful now about who I trust and how much of myself I reveal to others. But I'm also more confident, more self-aware, and ultimately, more capable of genuine love because I know the difference between real affection and manipulation. Nicole may have thought she was destroying me when she orchestrated her elaborate scheme, but she was wrong. She destroyed the version of me that needed her, that depended on her for happiness and validation. What emerged from the ashes of that man was someone who could stand on his own, someone who knew his worth, and someone who would never again allow another person to have that kind of power over his life. In the end, that might be the greatest victory of all. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Maybe YouTube will no longer offer you my channel, so subscribe to it by clicking subscribe on the right under the video to receive new interesting stories. Also on the right of the video there is a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to, and you can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.